Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And today's video is hopefully a bit of a cleanse after the baggage and the frustration and the sheer annoyance of yesterday's result. We have to finally draw a line under it. We do need to move on and hopefully we will all have a fun little distraction to talk about in terms of a right winger very soon. But before we can truly move on for what yesterday was, there's something we need to talk about. Now, of course, you're going to know what we're here to talk about based on the title and obviously the thumbnail, and I imagine a lot of you would have been discussing this last night as it came out in the press conference right after the game. But as some of you may or may not know, I never listen or watch any of the punditry or post-match interviews or anything like that until after I finish my video, because rightly or wrongly, I want whatever you guys hear me say on this channel to be what my thoughts actually are. I didn't want to listen to something and subconsciously think it and then go ahead and parrot it later on in the video. Again, rightly or wrongly, and we know which way that usually goes, whatever you hear is what I'm thinking, based on the games, based on transfers, based on players, etc, etc. So I fired out yesterday's video, right, and I thought, right, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I've said what I needed to say, hopefully people enjoy at least enough to share their opinion and we can move on for it. But then I went to the comment section below and nearly 90% of the conversation was asking me what my thoughts and opinions are on Russell Martin's post-match interview and the way he's talked about the players and what he's needed to say. So I was like, right, let me go and check this. And I watched every single one, from Sky Sports to Rangers TV to BBC. I watched every single Russell Martin post-match interview, and there's a lot to discuss. But again, where I do imagine a lot of people's already seen and heard several interviews, or at least one of the interviews from Russell Martin, so they know what we're here to talk about. I do know there will be a percentage of viewers that haven't watched it yet, because again, some people, soon as the bad result happens, shuts the tail off and wants nothing to do with it. And I understand, trust me, I understand that feeling. So we're going to try and bridge that gap. I'm not going to be able to show the video clips because unfortunately copyright and everything like that is an absolute disaster. I have tried to add some clips in, it just wasn't working. So instead I'm pivoting here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to read the transcript of some of the things that he said. We're going to react to it and we need to discuss what he's saying, absolutely, whether it's too soon and that, but also what he is doing wrong and where he needs to go for here. And the transcript's going to be mostly the Sky Sports interview, as that was the most explosive I felt, with a wee sprinkling of Rangers TV / the BBC interview as well. So we're going to start off then, shall we? He starts by saying, there is a default here at this football club and it's not one person's fault. The default is to revert to type, which is when it's going really well, everyone's all in and everyone's really good. When it's not going well, you protect yourself a little bit and the self-preservation stuff starts. Which, I'll be honest, instantly grabbed my attention, because that is what, as a fan base, we say all the time. We know there's people in that dressing room that goes into self-preservation mode and cares about themselves and cares about their stats and cares about what they can post up in their social medias. We've seen it, we've complained about it, we've screamed about it for years. So right away he grabbed my attention, but he went ahead and continued to saying, when you want to just jog around and do what you want to do, there is a big problem. Some of them have to drop their ego. Yeah, they do, Russell Martin. I'll look at us tactically and accept my responsibility in it, but today is not really tactical. It's a mentality problem, and we got more than what we deserved today, actually. And something that's pretty clear is he wants every single Rangers fan to hear this exact statement, as he said pretty much the exact same line with wee tweaks here or there in every single interview that he done last night. And that line was, we need to work out who really wants to be all in and who doesn't, because they'll be left behind. And yeah, he's letting them know there. He also went on to call out the likes of the body language of several players, the unwillingness to work hard. He also called it the players throwing their arms up and complaining, and he said he just getting on with the game and playing the game in the role of that. There's too many people moaning, there's too many people finger pointing, and again, ladies and gentlemen, every bit of this sounds familiar. So it's not going to be a surprise to anybody that was watching today's video that I've not got a problem at all with what Russell Martin does. I know there was a wee bit of the old Punch and Judy act on Sky Sports being like, do you not think that's too soon? No, I don't think it's too soon. And all that crap, you know what that is now. You know what I mean? Everyone sees all that stuff for what it is. It is just Punch and Judy in terms of the punditry. But I've not got a single issue with Russell Martin calling out these players, because he's just been in the job 6 weeks. Oh my God, it's just 3 games in charge. That's outside nonsense. If you're a Rangers fan, you know this isn't a 6 week issue. You know this isn't a 3 game issue. This is is years upon years upon years. That's had manager after manager sacked. So to anyone coming after and shouting at Martin for throwing the players under the bus, the players have been throwing managers under the bus for years. It's about time somebody tries to hold this group accountable for something. But this is now where we're going to go on a bit of a different path than maybe you're expecting, right? Where everything he said is spot on and I agree with and I really like. I'm not just going to sit here and do the rally cry and be like, he's saying what needs to be said. He's saying what needs to be said. Finally, because that would be disingenuous to every single person that's watching today's video, because he's not the only one that's said it and he's not the only one that's challenged the mentality in that dressing room. You can go back to the end of Gio's tenure as the manager. You can even look at some spells during Michael Beale's dreaded reign as manager. You can look at whatever the hell Phil Clement was trying to say, especially during the latter stages of his Rangers career. And again, just the last couple months, troops, we can go back. We don't need to go back years and previous this and previous that. You can look at the exact same group of players we were relying on yesterday, just 5 months ago, and less than that was getting called out by the likes of Barry Ferguson, who went into the interim role, a guy that's got stature, the guy that understands this club, that tried to express that to these players. This was a captain that motivated and led Rangers team after Rangers team to trophy after trophy. He went in that dressing room and tried his best to spark something, and when that couldn't motivate them, when that couldn't get them to drop their egos, he spent nearly every single press on, every single time a microphone was chucked in front of his face, calling these players out and challenging the mentality. And you know what changed during all of that time? None, ladies and gentlemen, because every single time Barry challenged them, he rewarded them again with game time, and they just saw him out and saw another manager or interim manager, because they knew they'd be here longer than he would be, and it just played out that way again. So for me, my mentality is, it's all nice to hear, but I know for damn sure that it's going to fall on deaf ears, because I just watched it happen a couple months ago when someone else tried to do the exact same tactics. So you can't distract me with all the fancy social media posts and say it's different, say it's different, say it's different, if we're doing the same crap and relying on the same players. You know what I mean? 9 of the starting 11 yesterday was here yesterday and did sink 2 managers and never responded and weren't able to raise their game. So what on earth are we sitting here thinking that this is finally going to break through? It's the same stuff air and air again. But where I do like what he said, what I actually want to see happen at the back of this is actually him going a step forward and doing what Barry never done, and doing what Clement never done, doing what Beale, all the managers we went ahead and talking about. Just go ahead and go a step further. And you know how you do that, Mr. Martin? Please just drop them, troops. That's it. Just drop whoever you're talking about. And I know there's a wee bit of discourse online right now. Do you think it's Tavernier? Do you think it's Suter? Do you think it's Danilo? Do you think it's Dowell? Sorry, it's not be Dowell because he's the golden boy. But do you think it's Danilo? Do you think it's Diamande? Do you think it's even the likes of Raskin? There is a lot of people, and if I'm honest, people are arguing with who they think Russell Martin's talking about. And instead of getting lost in that vicious cycle, is it this guy, this guy, this guy, who we think Martin's talking about? All I want is Russell Martin today is go ahead in his next game and go ahead and drop who he thinks those players are. I want to see a difference. And I know people say, oh, you can't drop somebody with, could be a big, what happens if it is Tavernier, what happens if it is this guy, what, it's a Champions League qualifier, CJ, is vital to our team. Aye, it is vital, but you know what also is vital? Picking a starting 11 that's all in behind the manager. If you've got players in that starting 11 who you know aren't buying in, that you know pick and choose when they run, and you know when it gets tough they turn into self-preservation mode. I'm like, I've done my job, it's on you as there. You're picking people that's a liability for the game, so I'd actually argue we're weaker going into these games relying on people he clearly doesn't think are given all his best. So that's what I want to see for Russell Martin. Not just the great sound bites that he's went ahead and done. Back it up. If you can talk the talk, please walk the walk, because no other manager's done it before in a Rangers dressing room in a long time, and that's why every single one of them has been sacked. So just go ahead and drop them. And again, to circle back, I didn't care who it is. He knows exactly who he feels it is, because 5-6 weeks into a job, you didn't come out that fast and that hard and that blunt and that precise like that if you're not really annoyed and frustrated. So again, I'm not wanting to guess and speculate who I think it is. He knows, because he doesn't come out that blunt and doesn't come out that big if he doesn't know who he's talking about. Just drop whoever that is, even if it's the likes of my boy Raskin Troops, you know what I mean? I'm not picking here and picking there. Even if it's somebody like Raskin, who I highly doubt, because he actually tries his best, runs his pan in every game. He is our best player, and he was pissed off he got substituted off. But that's the level I'm at right now. Even if it is somebody I really, really rate in a Rangers team, whoever's no buying in and whoever's sinking the ship, just drop them, ladies and gentlemen. Because I think if Russell Martin takes those strides and makes those big decisions, we as a Rangers fan base will actually connect more with Martin and possibly trust him even more, even if the results didn't back that up and we didn't see great performances right away. If we actually have somebody in that dugout that's big enough to make the big decisions, we'll go, alright, let's see him replace this position, let's see him replace this position, let's give him a wee bit more time. But he's on a short lease now because, again, not a lot of people wanted him in the job, but now he's repeating the same stuff, relying on the same dross that failed manager after manager. So we're feeling like we've seen the same story, but again, he's got every single tool possible to go ahead and change the ending. Will he? I guess we'll find out. But as I did mention earlier on today's video, he's also not immune to any criticism yesterday, and he also needs to tidy his act up as well. He needs to start tuning in and realising there's players that's good in training, and there's players that then can go ahead and perform in a Rangers team when you're expected to win, and that shirt that isn't training gear instantly becomes a lot heavier. He's got to wake up to that as well, and he needs to learn for his mistakes. He's saying the right thing in the press, but I need him to go ahead and do the right thing in terms of the selection. Now, I'll give him a wee bit of leeway with the likes of Kieran Dell right now, because I think it has been pretty bare over on the right hand side. We moved on the likes of McCausland and that. Mikey Moore wasn't cleared for the game of football, but when the clearance comes for the likes of Mikey Moore, who can also play on the right, but if we are able to get the likes of Ant-Man in to the role, and then Dowell is still being selected over those players, then aye, we can all go absolutely mental. I'm willing to give him a wee bit of the benefit of the doubt now, because there isn't that balance there right now. But when the bodies are ready and there's better players for selection, he's got to go ahead to pick them, or again, he's just walking to his own gallows. But where that is a decision that he might not be able to make right now in terms of the players able for a replacement, in my opinion, he is ducking the decision that he was brought in to go ahead and make and usher a new era in this football club, and he's not been big enough to go ahead and make it just yet. And this is going to make or break his overall Rangers career, my personal opinion, because he needs to go ahead and make a decision at the right back spot and stop this fannying about playing people out of position to try and accommodate the likes the skipper, right? And I'm not turning this in any anti-Taff thing, because I know you're all going to scream at me down in the comment section below, but we in the summer, our first signing was a right back on a lot of money, troops. We went ahead and got a starting calibre right back, not to sit and play out of position and not even look like a footballer, but we brought him in to play the right back role. In my personal opinion, we're bricking making the decision that needs to be made, because we're not trying to stir and ruffle up some feathers. No, let's ruffle up some feathers, because those feathers are flat right now, and it's just sinking downward. Make a decision right there and make the decision that needs to be made for this freaking football club. And again, just because you pick one in one game doesn't necessarily mean it's that. It's season. You can have a tandem, you can have a 1-2, you can have them pushing each other each way, but having both of them playing and both of them not working out is absolutely mind-boggling. And in my personal opinion, that's on Martin, and that's a decision that he needs to make, because that right hand side is simply embarrassing again, ladies and gentlemen. And you might disagree with that, because you might say, well, Dowell is actually alright, so you're just being too harsh on him. He's a part of the leadership, so he must do some nice things. But is that enough now in terms of the leadership role for this football club, just to be alright? Do you remember when this team used to be led by leaders who would run through a brick wall, that would stand out, that would grab games by the scruff of the neck? But we've just to accept, well, he's a part of the leadership group, you know, he's alright, he's alright, he's alright. No wonder we're going nowhere if that's the leaders we've got in the dressing room. And again, looking at the goal we conceded yesterday, looking at the right hand side, is that something you want to see all season long? It can't be, you know what I mean? You can call it the players' egos, etc, etc, but there's your problem right freaking there. It's glaring and it's shocking, and it needs to be proved. And for me, again, he's got the ability to do that at the right back spot right now. And again, in a couple of days' time, hopefully, possibly even when he gets an international clearance, there is a change potentially made on the right-hand side. So that's what he needs to go ahead and make. It's fair enough talking about the players, but the manager also has a lot to do, in my personal opinion, and stop hiding away for the big decisions that's going to be making this football club hopefully a lot more balanced, because whatever we're doing right now is anything but. We're trying to be too nicey, and we've seen how that ends. And yeah, that's probably my answer to the question that I was asked many times yesterday. My thoughts and opinions on Russell Martin as a manager so far, and my thoughts and opinions on Russell Martin's press conference. You know what I mean? There's mistakes absolutely everywhere, but again, he's got the chance to correct them. Will he? I think that's going to determine and define his reign as Rangers manager. But that's me, done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully I've covered and discussed everything you guys wanted me to talk about in yesterday's comment section, as again, you let me know your opinion. So I've tried to cover everything new. I try and let go of all my frustration, and I try to move on. And hopefully next time I see you, I'm sitting, maybe welcoming a new player to the football club with a smile on the Nash, or if something happens with that and that doesn't work out, I'll be sitting in front of you in terms of the preview video with a smile on my face, hopefully talking about seeing our Rangers team motivated and hungry and backing the manager, and the manager backs the fan base by picking players that should be playing in the starting 11 and deserve to be playing in the starting 11. That would be very nice. But aye, let's push the frustration now. Let's move away from it and try to move forward as a football club. It was a kick up the jack, say aye, let's learn Sanfit and move forward as a football club. That would be very nice. But until next time, I've been CJRovo992. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out the legends that are signed up to the channel legend memberships. We have actually had some new members sign up recently as well, which is far too kind. It does take a day or two to update, by the way, so I can throw your names on it. But again, I see you guys sign up. Thank you so much for that. You should have your name up very soon. The legends that are signing up to the supporter range as well, thank you for that. And again, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and watching every single video and subscribing to this channel and keeping this channel going, because it's certainly on yous. It's certainly not my content. So really appreciate you taking your time. Let me know how you're feeling now that the dust is settled on the game and some of the conversation points we've had in today's video. But until next time, thank you all so much for watching. All the best and bye bye.